DC here. Hi guys and gals. Well, I'm going to make a fast little video because today I saw on Facebook, I believe it was, that it's the 50th anniversary today of the 1966 Batman show. So the one with the real Bruce Wayne, the one with pop, bang, and this and that, and it had Batman and Robin and the Joker and all the real ones, but it was the campy show, not the show. Now, some of you might remember I had this little Batmobile from way back when. Robin's somewhere, I don't know, he's somewhere around, and this one could even cut chains, and it would be somewhere in the kids stuff. You could send off little rockets, and actually used to drag a bat boat behind, and it had fire coming out in the back. Anyways, a really nice little story that goes along with this. Batman 1966 really tells how I was telling Mrs. DC, I said, do you know Batman, there's the one that we used to listen to as kids, is already 50 years old. And she looked at me, she said, well, she says, we were already about, getting close to 10 years old. I thought, oh yeah. I mean, today's Batmobile kind of looks like this thing. And today's Batman kind of looks like this. But I read somewhere on the trivia, remember how fast this thing used to go on the show? But it seems that in real life, with all the thingamajigs on it, it could only do 45 miles an hour. Things were different then, weren't they? I mean, everybody kind of loved that campy show. It was last year that Yvonne Craig, so Batgirl from that show, died. And I mean, most red-blooded boys liked Batgirl. But I mean, it was different, wasn't it? I mean, Batman then was, like I say, it was campy, it was funny, it was comical. You cannot imagine this Batman being anything similar to that. It's going to be dark, the Dark Knight. And I'm trying to think, when I had my comic books then, I mean, Batman, at least up to that period in the 60s, was not that dark, was it? I mean, it wasn't as comical. Well, in a way, it almost was. It was quite campy at times. I mean, not as much maybe as a television show, but still. Things have changed in that respect, very much so. I mean, we used to watch these are basically live action but cartoons with real people, you know what I mean. And there was a difference, wasn't there? I mean, I guess we were there to have more fun. I mean, less reality or whatever. I guess the show was maybe less politically correct, I suppose. I mean, Catwoman at the time, well, there was two Catwomans, wasn't there? There was Lee Merriweather and there was Eartha Kitt. And I mean, we all know that Batman had a thing for Catwoman, so that was kind of interracial, wasn't it? Pretty advanced. I did read in the same trivia where I read about the Batmobile that what's his name again? Brain freeze right now. The actor who was playing Batman said he had movement under his utility belt whenever he looked at Lee Merriweather in her Catwoman suit. Ah, those were the days. Okay, 50 years. It's a long ways off. Now the little sequence that I'm going to add to this, which tells the story of this Batmobile and how it got into my family, is from October 2008. You realize that is like 7.5 years ago, something like that, as well. So it is. We've also been on YouTube for a long time, haven't we? Okay, guys and gals. DC signing off. Take care, everybody. And you'll see the DC style of many years ago, close to 8 years ago on YouTube, was quite different. Okay. Signing off, everybody. Take care. Have a good Wednesday. More than halfway through the week for us. Okay. See you soon. Bye. Well, today I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me when I would say about 10 years old. And it's got to do with, yes, the Batmobile. Now, if you look at this little jewel, I mean, this thing here, can you actually see that? Here, you can actually cut chains with this thing. And there was a real Batman in there. Now, what does this have to do? This has nothing to do with the YouTube secret. I mean, this was disclosed. I'm afraid that we now know secret identities, well, up to a point, of certain superheroes. No, this story is actually a very simple one. If you look at this beautiful Batmobile, there's a little story behind that. And this is where the tag comes from. I was a 12-year-old boy, and we were shopping for Mother's Day present, my brother and myself. And I passed in front of this Batmobile. And actually, there was more than the Batmobile, there was the Batboat. And I said to my brother, I said, you know, Mommy will really love this. And he looked at me and says, are you crazy, man? He says, this is not a Mother's Day gift. And of course, I mean, I convinced him, you know, that this would be a really nice knick-knack. She could, you know, put it on, she could put it on a shelf and look at it and enjoy it. And every time she'd look at it, she'd think of her lovely little boys. Of course, I said to my brother, I mean, I'm certain that Mommy will let us play with it as well. So I did manage to convince my brother, well, actually kind of reluctantly, but he went along. I probably bullied him. And he had a bad conscience and went to my mother and said, you know, we got you a really rotten Mother's Day present. So what happened is that my mother was, well, maybe I would say disappointed, not extremely impressed. But what she did do is that she took the Mother's Day gift, she wrapped it up, and I didn't see it for a long time, except for a few months later under the Christmas tree, and it was my Christmas present. It's had a pretty hard life in the meantime. I mean, I really kept it nicely, but my sons didn't have quite the same respect for Batman as I did. Nevertheless, it's still here. I'm 51, going on 52, so this is pretty old Batmobile actually. And yeah, that's my story. So now you know where this Batmobile comes from.